So
Exploring global
first thing I
financial
would say
strategies.
regarding this
China's
is
intriguing
they're
US dollar
talking about
bond
how
maneuvers.
getting out of United States dollar debt is supposed to be the game changer. And I find that pretty interesting because 9 months ago, China swapped into US dollar debt. And when they issued this bond in US dollar terms, it was hailed as the game changer because they had flipped US dollar hegemony into their favor. So, why is it that China going into US dollar debt is a game changer and other countries leaving US dollar debt is a game changer? I mean, I think they got to figure out which side of the argument they want to be on. When this happened, when this China bond was initially happened, Kathleen Tyson, who is obviously, for anybody who's followed her, knows that she's a big proponent of the BRICS and China and Russia and the rise of the non-West financial system. And she claimed that this was a classic judo strategy by China and talked about how they were issuing bonds at a lower interest rate than the United States. But Richard Casey, I put this up here because a lot of people will comment on stuff like this, but really have no idea what they're talking about. But Richard Casey is actually somebody who worked for a very long time on Wall Street and in the city of London. And he was a portfolio manager. He was a strategist. He was an economist. He priced bonds. He traded bonds. He managed bonds. He worked in macro. He worked in emerging markets. He actually has decades of real world experience in how this stuff works. So I would encourage you, if you like this type of stuff that we're talking about, to follow Richard. And whenever one of these things comes out, go to his feed, see what he is saying about it. And if he's not saying anything about it, forward it to him and ask him his thoughts on it because he will give you a real world answer rather than some made up theory. So I'm just going to read to you what he wrote because he can say it better than I can. But he basically said so much wrong with this, referring to Kathleen's tweet about this classic judo strategy from China. He said the China US dollar bond issue was not sold at a lower yield than treasuries, but at a small positive spread to treasuries. The current China US dollar government bond index is 85 basis points over treasuries. This compares to China's 2.5 trillion external debt. So it's a very small issuance. And he goes on to say it's rather bizarre to claim that China lending US dollar to the global south increases their debt, reduces the chance of a 1980s style debt crisis. Hasn't worked too well for Venezuela, Ecuador, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, et cetera, et cetera.
Don't miss the full story. Upgrade to paid and get Brent Johnson's Macro Pilgrim's Ledger every Sunday. Straightforward market analysis for just $39 per month. Visit research.santiagocapital.com.